Divine revelation. Open your spiritual eyes to the miraculous truths prophesied for you. In the quaint village of Larkberry, whispers of divine revelations rippled through the air like the flutter of wings. Sarah, a devoted mother of two, had always believed that heaven's light danced among them, guiding their lives. Her heart swelled with hope at the ancient chapel's ivy-covered stones, where sunlight filtered through vibrant stained glass, spilling colors like a painter's palette onto the humble pews. Each prayer whispered there felt like a thread weaving them closer to God, and Sarah was the village's prayer warrior, an embodiment of faith itself. But then dark clouds loomed. Daniel, her youngest son, began showing unsettling symptoms, strange fits, feverish nights that stretched into endless worries. Doctors were baffled, their words heavy with uncertainty. "It's a mystery," they said, their brows furrowed in concern. As fear seeped into Sarah's heart, the whispers in the village shifted. "What kind of mother is she?" they questioned, eyes filled with doubt. "Why doesn't she seek help?" Others murmured. The support she once felt twisted into a smothering web of anxiety. With each wearisome night, as she knelt by her bed, pouring her soul into prayer, the flicker of her once unwavering faith began to dim. Was God not listening? Was she failing her son? One night, as sadness enveloped her like a thick fog, she heard her heart echo the words of her patron saint, St. Jude, the saint of lost causes. A flicker of determination ignited within her. Sarah decided to gather the villagers in prayer, a beacon of hope to reignite their faith. The chapel became a refuge again, filled with anxious yet hopeful hearts. They prayed not just for Daniel's healing but for a deeper connection to God's will. Then came the unexpected visit. Mrs. Wainwright, the village's eccentric sage, appeared on her doorstep, a bundle of wisdom wrapped in patchwork quilts. "Miracles come when you least expect them," she declared, her eyes twinkling with prophetic mischief. Sarah's skepticism wrestled with a spark of hope. Could she truly expect a miracle amidst her despair? As the community rallied behind Sarah, their love enveloped her son like a warm blanket. Yet, tension crackled in the air, beliefs clashed with doubts, and whispers of what if lingered like a spectral shadow. The more she shared her experiences, the more the questions churned. What if healing looked different than she imagined? What if the answer they craved was hidden beneath layers of divine mystery? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the prayers grew louder and more fervent, Sarah felt an energy shift in the chapel. A warm light flickered above the congregation, illuminating their faces, filled with tears of faith and joy. Signs began to appear, Daniel's health showing slight improvements, a smile breaking through his fevered brow. Hope surged, mingling with disbelief, igniting their hearts further. Yet, as light danced in the chapel, a cold shiver ran down Sarah's spine. She came to realize that miracles were not always the grand and sweeping gestures they craved. What if the answers they found were not what they expected? What if God's presence was revealing itself in ways they had never anticipated? With her heart heavy but resolute, she prepared for the unfolding of a story that would change everything, starting with an encounter that would soon test the boundaries of her faith and the community's very understanding of miracles. The air in the chapel buzzed with an intensity born of hope and fear, mingling like fragrances caught in a warm breeze. Sarah looked around the room, her eyes scanning the faces of her neighbors, their expressions echoing the prayers that had filled the space. Their voices blended together, weaving a tapestry of supplication that rose like incense toward the heavens. In that moment, something remarkable happened. The flickering warmth she had sensed before turned into a gentle radiance, enveloping Daniel as he lay in his mother's trembling arms. His tiny face, once twisted by fever, softened and began to show signs of peace. A hush fell over the congregation, hands clasped tightly together, hearts urging God to act. Sarah held her breath, the world outside the chapel fading away, leaving only the sacred tension of the moment. "Lord, we believe," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the soft hum of prayers. Her spirit soared, daring to touch the divine. Yet, doubt tugged at her edges, reminding her that the path to miracle is often shrouded in uncertainty. But she pressed on, channeling every ounce of faith into the air around her. Then, Mrs. Wainwright spoke again, her voice cutting through the silence with the precision of a blade. "Sometimes the greatest miracles are those of faith. Dear ones, look to each other. Look to the light in your hearts." Her words, ringing with authority, wrapped around Sarah like a lifeline. A tremor of energy rippled through the group. One by one, they began to stand, lifting their eyes to Daniel, their prayers transforming into declarations of belief. "We trust in his goodness," cried out old Mr. Barnaby, tears streaming down his weathered cheeks. "He is with us," echoed young Emma, her innocence a resounding belief that ignited the faith of others. And just as hope blazed larger in the room, Sarah felt a shift. Something deep within her stirred a whisper from God. She closed her eyes, allowing the warmth to engulf her. And suddenly she was not just a mother. She was a community pillar, a vessel of his grace. As she opened her eyes, she felt it a subtle current, a pulse of divine energy that danced through the very walls of the chapel. It vibrated with the faith of the assembled villagers. The light that had flickered before grew stronger, illuminating them in a way that felt almost tangible. With that illumination came understanding, a fleeting moment of clarity that this was not solely about Daniel's healing but about rekindling the flame of faith in every heart present. Then, unexpectedly, the chapel door creaked open. A figure appeared, silhouetted against the twilight. It was Judith, Sarah's estranged sister, known for her skepticism and tumultuous past. Gasps filled the air. What was she doing here? Sarah's heart raced, instinctively torn between feelings of anger and joy as Judith stepped into the illuminated room. An unusual silence blanketed the congregation. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. Unfortunately, the light around her faded momentarily. Was this a sign of trouble? Or perhaps something more profound, a chance for reconciliation, for renewed faith anew? "Sarah," Judith called, her voice strained. "I've come seeking something I thought I lost." Before Sarah could respond, the chapel filled with a vibration, a melding of divine presence that left everyone breathless, leading their hearts to wonder. Was this part of the unfolding miracle? What awaited them all now? In their eyes, Sarah saw the promise of transformation. As the future hung delicately in the balance, she couldn't help but feel that something momentous was about to shift, reshaping everything they thought they knew about love, faith, and miracles. What would Judith's appearance unveil? And how would this journey affect the fragile threads that bound their lives together? The air pulsed with questions and awaiting answers. They all stood on the precipice of divine mystery. Judith stepped further into the chapel, the glow of light from the flickering candles catching in her eyes. In that moment, Sarah felt an electric tension fill the air, a current of power, mixing with the weight of unresolved history. Would this be the moment her sister turned back toward faith, or would it pull them further apart? "Why are you here?" Sarah found herself asking. The words pressed painfully from her heart. They echoed in the eerily hushed space, breaking the spell of collective hope that had infused the air just moments before. Judith hesitated, her gaze darting from Sarah's apprehensive expression to the cluster of faces that now turned towards her, each marked by stories of struggle and faith alike. "I heard the prayers," she stammered. "I felt something calling me back." A renewed energy surged through the congregation, a chorus of whispers rising and falling like waves. Could it be? Was this an invitation to discovery, a chance for Judith to glimpse the divine spark she had long shunned? Sarah could hardly breathe, her heart pounding with hope, but still tinged with worry. "Judith, you know this isn't just about Daniel," Sarah replied, her voice wavering. "It's about reconnecting with what we were always meant for, healing one another's wounds. Not just physically, but spiritually. A flicker of uncertainty passed over Judith's face. "I don't believe," she began, but was interrupted as old Mr. Barnaby spoke again, his voice rich with conviction. "Dear child, faith is not about what you can prove or disprove. It's about what you feel deep in your spirit. Look at this community forgiveness. Love, it radiates here. Allow it to fill you." With those words, a warm light began to shimmer around Judith, drawing her away from her doubts. "It's not too late for you," shouted young Emma, her innocent belief like a beacon in the dimness. Judith took a step backward, but Sarah reached out, her hand trembling but firm. "Judith, let us show you what you're missing. We're all seeking something. We're all broken in our own ways. Together we can heal." Slowly, Judith began to approach the group. Her strength wavered, yet there was determination in her eyes. Perhaps she was drawn by the desire for belonging, a fierce longing that hadn't faded despite the years and the distance. As Judith stepped fully into the circle of light, the atmosphere shifted profoundly. The warmth that had enveloped Sarah now surged through the room, washing over everyone like a gentle wave. There was a palpable change, as if heaven itself had reached down to touch the tapestry of humanity woven in that little chapel. The pulse of faith vibrated with renewed intensity. Each person felt it, hearts united as one. "Open your eyes, Judith," Sarah pleaded softly, urging her sister to see what lay just beyond her doubts. "We're not here to judge. We're here to love. Together we can find the answers." In that moment, time felt suspended. They were standing on holy ground, a space brimming with potential and unspoken prayers. Each face reflected the hope of renewed life, illuminated by grace, the kind of grace Judith had denied but likely yearned for deep down. As the chapel doors swung wide open, revealing the majestic night sky outside, stars sparkled like opportunities for miracles. Judith looked around, caught between fear and wonder, asking silently what was possible if she dared to step further into faith. And just then, it hit Sarah, this wasn't merely a moment for her sister. This was a global call, a divine signal rippling through every heart present. The miracle was unfolding, right before their eyes. "What lies ahead, dear ones?" asked Mrs. Wainwright, her voice echoing in the silence. The question hung in the air, potent and heavy. What pathway would Judith choose, and how would her choice transform the faith of everyone involved? The chapel buzzed with anticipation. Each breath they took drew them deeper into the mystery of God's will and what lay just around the corner. Judith stood there, the flickering candlelight bathing her in a soft glow. She could feel the weight of so many eyes upon her, every gaze filled with hope. It was warm, yet suffocating, as if she were being drawn into a tapestry woven with prayers and dreams. The air around her felt electric, crackling with possibilities, urging her to take a step forward. But fear gripped her heart. What if she couldn't escape the shadows that clung to her? What if the light they invited her into only revealed deeper scars? Her breath hitched in her throat as memories of old regrets surged up like restless waves, crashing against the shores of her resolve. Yet amidst all the noise, a whisper, a silent call wrapped around her heart. "Judith, please." Sarah's gentle voice broke through the tempest within her. "We want to help you find your way. You're not alone, you've never been." That simple truth cracked a shard of ice encasing Judith's heart, creating a glimmer of warmth. Could it be? Mr. Barnaby stepped closer, his eyes twinkling with the light of experience. "Faith doesn't ask for perfection. It invites you just as you are. Embrace your pain, and it shall lead you to healing." His voice was steady, delivering comfort like a soothing balm. Judith felt tears prickling, but she fought them back. Instead, she focused on the community around her. They were all here, each bringing their own brokenness, yet linking arms in a testament of unity. She had strayed from this path, but the desire to belong, to embrace love, ignited a flicker of courage within her. Can I really trust this? Judith wondered, her voice barely above a whisper, yet resonating like a bell in the stillness. Trust is a step we must take. Young Emma piped up, her innocence shining bright. Like when you jump, and the water catches you, you just have to believe it will. The chapel held its breath. Judith's gaze fell on the open doors, the expanse of the night sky beckoning with its stellar wonders. The stars seemed to twinkle in encouragement, calling her to leap into something greater. Yet the leap felt scary, like standing on the edge of a cliff in that sacred silence. Sarah took Judith's trembling hands within her own. "Sister, you don't have to understand everything right now. Just take a step together." There was a fierceness in her eyes, fueled by a love that transcended every doubt. A deep sigh escaped Judith's lips. Could it really be that simple? Could she lean into this moment, however terrifying, and discover something beautiful? Together, she echoed softly, as if trying the word for the first time. It felt like holding a piece of hope tightly in her grasp. The ripple effect began to cascade through the congregation, hearts warming. They exchanged glances filled with affirmation. An unseen hand, perhaps the very hand of God, seemed to guide Judith forward, pulling her closer to the light that enveloped them all. "Let us pray," Mr. Barnaby said, his voice resonating within the chapel like a soft drumbeat. "Pray for courage and clarity. Ask for eyes that see and hearts that believe." Electric anticipation hummed within Judith as she closed her eyes, letting the gentle power of the community surround her. They began to pray. Hope and faith drifted upward, a sacred offering sizzling in the air. In that moment, Judith felt an undeniable shift. Something was stirring within her. The battle between doubt and faith danced like a flickering flame, ready to burst into brilliance. "What will she discover?" murmured a woman in the back, her face reflecting precious anticipation. And as the voices intertwined in heartfelt prayer, Judith stood on the precipice of faith, uncertain yet alive with possibility. The congregation awaited her choice, holding their breath like spectators witnessing a miracle about to unfold. What revelation lay ahead for Judith, and how would she respond to the divine whisper trailing on the winds of faith? Judith stood, cocooned in the warmth of prayer, the voices of her community swirling around her like a sacred hymn. The fervor of hope rooted itself within her heart, mingling with her trepidation. As she inhaled deeply, the scent of beeswax candles and polished wood filled her senses. Was this what belonging felt like? A sweet blend of warmth and trepidation? "Close your eyes, Judith," Sarah's voice chimed sweetly, as if echoing through a sunlit meadow. "Feel the love enveloping you." Judith obeyed, grounding herself in the pulse of faith surrounding her. The congregation surged with prayer, their words rolling over her, rushing like a gentle stream. Her heart pulsated in time with the rhythm of their devotion. She had been lost, adrift in the shadows for so long. Yet, here, a flicker of something hopeful ignited within a promise that healing was not only possible but within reach. Suddenly, a brilliant light began to seep through the closed lids of her eyes. Was it the flickering flame of the candles? Or perhaps the light of the stars outside overwhelming the darkness within? She focused, leaning into that warmth, allowing it to envelop her, like a beloved child cradled in a mother's embrace. "Lord, give Judith the strength to see." Mr. Barnaby's voice surged from the front, steady and unwavering, like the roots of a grand oak tree. "Open her eyes to your truth." She could feel the congregation tighten their circle of support around her. Each heartbeat became a prayer, each breath a promise. Judith imagined herself wearing a cloak of light, a shield against her fears. In that embrace, the shadows began to retreat, their power waning as she invited light into her being. What if the scars were not the end but the beginning of something refined and transformed? A sudden wave of warmth washed over her, and tears slipped down her cheeks, hot and full of emotion. Judith opened her eyes, and the soft candlelight flickered like 1,000 fireflies. Everyone around her was blurred, yet the glow of their faith shone brightly, illuminating the darkest corners within her heart. "I'm ready," she whispered, as if speaking to the walls of the chapel, to the great unseen listening closely. "I'm ready to let go." Her voice grew stronger, emboldened by the weight of expectation hovering in the room. At that moment, the congregation exhaled in unison, as if a wave of relief had washed over them all. "Together, sister," Emma shouted, her joy brightening the atmosphere like the first rays of dawn breaking the night as they prayed once more. A divine presence hinted a revelation at the edges of Judith's heart. Would she dare to uncover it? Was there a deeper truth waiting just beneath the surface? Daydreams of hope began to intertwine with her reality, promising a breakthrough that pierced the veil of her doubts. "Feel his grace," Sarah murmured, her eyes locked onto Judith's. "You're being renewed." Judith closed her eyes again, allowing the gentle whispers of prayer to wash over her, each one a brushstroke on the canvas of her soul. She sensed a warmth creeping into her wounds, a soothing balm flowing through the cracks of her brokenness. In that fragile space between despair and hope, Judith stood at the crossroads of change, tears glimmering like jewels as they caught the candlelight. What lies beyond this moment? She pondered, heart racing. The congregation shared in her anticipation, their breath collective, like a mighty river flowing toward the ocean of grace ahead as the weight of unanswered questions hung in the air. Judith felt the pull of faith calling her closer to the heart of God's purpose for her. She stood waiting, poised to leap into the light, ready to discover what lay just beyond her reach. What beautiful truths would she unearth? With a hint of divine mystery lingering, she sat on the edge of revelation, ready for the unfolding to come. Judith felt the weight of anticipation settle over her like a warm blanket. The world outside fell away, and inside the chapel, time seemed to blur, merging with the rhythm of prayer. Each word, each note of harmony resonated, pulling her deeper into that sacred space. As she leaned into prayer, she sensed a shift like the first spark of dawn breaking the night. Her heart swelled with a yearning that stretched beyond mere hope. It was a call, a divine invitation, nudging her towards an understanding that had previously eluded her grasp. "Judith," Sarah whispered again, her voice threaded with urgency. "Listen. His truth is here right now." Judith followed the cadence of those sacred words as they wrapped around her. They ignited something within, a flicker that deepened into a flame. A simple truth dawned upon her. She was not just a bystander, but an active participant in this divine dance of healing and renewal. With each breath, she drew in the warmth, the love, and the faith that surrounded her. It filled not only her lungs but seeped into the very fabric of her being. Judith felt every worry and doubt begin to unspool, like threads unraveling to reveal a new tapestry. Suddenly, a vision flickered before her eyes. Color burst forth, vibrant greens and brilliant golds. It was a dreamscape, alive with the promise of abundant life. She saw children laughing under a sky painted with hues of pink and orange. A family gathered around a table overflowing with food, friends rejoicing in each other's company, laughter bubbling like a joyful fountain. "Lord, what does it mean?" she breathed, the question echoing in her heart as the vision shifted. Great trees with strong roots reached high toward heaven, their branches stretching broad and welcoming. Each leaf shimmered, catching the light of a sun that felt both foreign and familiar. "Ask," came the gentle prompting from the depths of her spirit. "What do you need, dear daughter? What do you seek?" "I seek clarity," Judith whispered, vulnerability spilling forth. "I want to know who you've made me to be, what purpose lies hidden in my heart." A solemn stillness enveloped her, dissolving the chaos of her past. It was as if the universe held its breath in that moment, waiting for the truth to reveal itself. Then, the sharpness of her sorrow broke like the dawn against shadows. She felt the fragmented pieces of her story, each scar, each wound guided by a hand far greater than her own. They were not just remnants of pain. They were keys unlocking her purpose, each trial refining her spirit, leading her toward greater things. Tears streamed down Judith's cheeks, a cascade of cleansing water, releasing the burdens she had clung to for so long. She witnessed the tapestry of her life begin to weave together into a glorious masterpiece of resilience and beauty. With renewed strength, she stepped further into the light, longing to embrace the divine promise that awaited her. The congregation awaited, eyes glistening with shared hope and encouragement, their own hearts an echo of her longing. "Judith," Mr. Barnaby called out, voice steady and bold. "Trust in the path he lays before you. Step into the calling." And at that moment, She understood this was not just her journey, but a collective awakening. The heartbeats of her friends intertwined with hers, each pulse a declaration of faith. Yet, as the truth settled within her mind, a question pricked at the edges of her consciousness. How would this revelation unfold? What challenges awaited her on the road to her calling? The air hung heavy with anticipation. She was ready to uncover the truth. But what profound lessons did God hold in store for her journey ahead? The sacred mystery continued to beckon, enticing her to take the next step toward the unknown. Judith stood at the threshold of understanding, her heart dancing with both excitement and apprehension. The chapel buzzed with whispering spirits, every face reflecting the flickering flames of hope. "Take a step, Judith," Sarah urged softly. "You're not alone." As she nodded, Judith felt an invisible tether binding her to the congregation. Each pair of eyes around her shimmered with shared faith, woven into a collective journey. In that moment, the air grew thick with expectancy, as if heaven was holding its breath for her next move. She took a deep breath. "Lord," she murmured, "lead me." Suddenly, the vision resumed, colors intertwining again like ribbons of light. She saw herself walking paths, some familiar, some new. Each trail bore witness to challenges transformed into triumphs, friends made along the way, and lessons learned through the deepest sorrows. "Where are these paths taking me?" Judith whispered, vulnerability flickering in her voice. The trees from her vision swayed gently, leaves whispering answers in the wind. "Trust," they seemed to say. "There is movement even in stillness. Growth lies in surrendering control." Judith's mind raced. The idea of surrender felt daunting yet refreshing. There was a weight lifting, a burden of expectation that had clung to her for so long. She realized that true freedom lay not in strict plans, but in walking hand in hand with the divine. As if to affirm her thought, warmth flooded her chest, an overflow of divine affirmation. "You are enough," it murmured. "Your journey matters. Each step is crafted under my gaze." Judith opened her eyes, witnessing the congregation's unity. They were more than witnesses. They were carriers of light, each uniquely tools in a larger picture. She caught Mr. Barnaby's knowing gaze and nodded, a silent agreement to embrace the unfolding story together. "Let us sing," someone called out, breaking the contemplative silence. The hymn began, waves of melodic devotion rising and entwining around them. With every note, Judith felt the vibration of spirit, each voice lifting in harmonious surrender that echoed her own heart's desire. The moment was electric, alive with connection. Judith found herself breaking into a smile, the music weaving through her being. She felt her doubts begin to dissolve, replaced with a tranquil groundedness. But amidst the reverberating joy, uncertainty lingered. A question began to form, prickling her anticipation. What if this peace is fleeting? She pondered as her spirit danced with elation. Yet, deep within her, she heard the gentle reminder. This is just the beginning. Keep your eyes open. The truth you seek is unfolding. As the hymn came to a close, Judith's heart thudded with expectation. The mention of a calling whispered through her mind like a promise unfolding. "Jude," Sarah chimed, her smile radiant. "How do you feel? What's stirring in your heart?" "I feel alive and scared, but ready," Judith replied, her words laced with honesty. "I sense the adventure beginning." With that, the moment swelled with a sense of collective possibility. Each member of the congregation leaned in, their breaths synchronized with hers. Though Judith felt a wave of exhilaration, she couldn't shake the lingering question. What divine preparations lay ahead? What trials and revelations awaited her on the horizon of this calling? Could she truly embrace the entirety of this new path? As the congregation gently swayed in the aftermath of their song, Judith felt the mystery unfolding before her, beckoning her to step boldly into the unknown. The chapel thrummed with an energy that was palpable, its walls carrying the weight of countless prayers and dreams. Judith turned to Sarah, her curiosity bubbling. "What do we do next?" Sarah smiled, her eyes sparkling with fervor. "We seek. We invite the Spirit to guide us deeper. Every journey begins with the question, God, what do you want me to see?" Judith pondered, her voice barely above a whisper. The air felt charged, thick with anticipation. It was a sacred dance of spirits, a communion of hearts longing for divine clarity. Suddenly, Judith felt a pull, a gentle nudge from within. It was as if the very essence of her being was urging her forward. "Follow the light," a voice whispered, a tender echo so familiar yet distinct. She closed her eyes and envisioned a luminous path stretching before her. Sparkling like the morning dew on grass, she ventured into this vision. Scenes melded one into another, each revealing glimpses of what could be. She saw herself helping those in need, weaving love through her words, and sharing smiles like rays of sunshine. With every scenario, Judith's heart expanded, a flower unfurling to embrace the warmth of the sun. But then, shadows danced at the edges. Chaos invaded her peace, and doubts seeped in like darkness creeping into dawn. Can I truly do this? What if I fail? Her heart raced, each beat echoing the fear of inadequacy. Judith, the voice returned, soothing as rain on parched earth. Remember, even the smallest acts are crafted by my hand. It's not your strength but my grace that will carry you. Tears brimmed in Judith's eyes. The warmth of divine assurance wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. I will take that step, she resolved, her voice steady, filled with newfound intention. I will seek you, Lord, in every moment. As Judith opened her eyes, she caught a glimpse of the congregation. Each face radiated a warmth that mirrored her blossoming faith. They were witnesses to each other's journeys, urging one another onwards, an unspoken acknowledgement that everyone was in pursuit of something greater. Let us share our dreams, our visions, Sarah suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. The congregation moved closer, their energy shifting from individual to collective. Judith felt her heart swell with hope. Here was a community eager to unveil the beauty of their dreams. I saw myself in a garden, said Mr. Barnaby quietly, his face aglow, tending to plants that flourished under the sunlight. It was both peaceful and vibrant. Others began to share, each description layering into a tapestry of imagination, visionaries all seeking the touch of divine purpose. With each heart shared, Judith sensed a divine alignment taking shape around her. The depths of each story weaved together, forming a pattern of hope that threaded through every member of the congregation. This is what it means to be the body of Christ, she thought, realizing their unity was more powerful than any individual dream. Yet as the laughter and encouragement filled the room, Judith felt a stirring, a sudden reminder of the steps she still needed to take. What will this require from me? She wondered, apprehension bubbling beneath the surface once more. Still, the light from that vision glimmered in her mind, a beacon calling her forth. What lay ahead awaited patiently, shrouded in mystery but filled with promise. Let us pray for guidance, Sarah suggested, and the group bowed their heads. Judith's heart raced again, but this time with excitement. As they prayed, there was a palpable shift, the air rippling with divine presence. Judith felt it like a warm breeze wrapping around her, igniting her spirit. She was not alone. Together they were stepping into uncharted territories, hearts wide open to whatever God had planned. The inquiry pressed upon her once more, a clarion call in the silence. But what God had not yet revealed, what divine surprises await in the horizon. In that moment of prayer, the door to possibility swung wide open, beckoning Judith to embrace the unfolding narrative, yet leaving her breathless with wonder. What would she find beyond the veil of the known? The silence hung in the air, thick with a contentment that felt almost sacred. Judith could feel the warmth of unity wrapped around her, comforting and kind. Each prayer was like a gentle wave washing over them, nurturing their spirits as they huddled together, searching for clarity and courage. Suddenly, a child's laughter broke through the stillness, bringing a fresh spark to the moment. Little Lucy, no more than 7, danced around the group, her joy contagious. I saw butterflies, she exclaimed, twirling with delight. They were so colorful and flew around the garden Mr. Barnaby was tending. It was beautiful, and they made me feel so free. The congregation chuckled softly, enchanted by her innocent excitement. Judith felt her heart lift. Lucy's vision danced the line between the earthly and the divine, reminding everyone of the purity of faith and imagination. Here was a child, so unburdened by doubt, sharing a piece of heaven that had blessed her heart. What is a garden without butterflies? Sarah mused, her smile radiant. They remind us that transformation is a part of God's plan. There is beauty in change. A ripple of understanding passed through Judith as she contemplated. Yes, change, she murmured to herself. Something about that thought resonated deeply within her. She could see now that the garden was alive, filled with life and possibility, reminding her of the journeys they were all embarking upon. Just like those butterflies, their dreams were waiting to emerge, as if sensing Judith's inner dialogue. The voice of encouragement returned, soft and steady. Judith, it's okay to be on this journey. Each step is a part of the growth. Be willing to let go of your fears. Embrace the unfolding. The soothing reminder bolstered her spirit. With every shared vision, fear lost its grip, and she began to feel freer, like those butterflies soaring under the sun. Judith looked around the chapel, appreciating the faces illuminated by hope. She knew their dreams interwove, creating a tapestry that was abundant with grace. Let me share too, she said, feeling a surge of confidence welling up within her. I saw a river, a flowing stream of light. People were gathered around, dipping their hands into the water, and it felt so refreshing. We were all drawn to it, and the water sparkled with promise. Gasps of awe echoed in the room, mingled with whispers of curiosity. Mr. Barnaby chimed in, water represents life, baptism, and rebirth. It's a reminder that each of our paths may lead us to refreshment in God. The excitement grew, bouncing from one heart to another. Judith could feel the collective energy building, a sacred anticipation of what was to come. Each shared dream seemed to propel them further into the divine mystery awaiting just beyond their reach. As voices intertwined, Judith realized her own journey was part of a greater symphony, a divine calling that needed harmony to flourish. What if we combined our dreams? She suggested, her voice brimming with newfound courage. What if we cultivated a community garden of hope together? The room erupted in chatter, ideas flowing freely like the river she had envisioned. They talked of gathering supplies, planting seeds of faith in the minds and hearts of their neighbors, and sharing the fruits of their labor with those in need. Judith's heart swelled as they brainstormed, casting aside any trace of fear that might have lingered. Yet, as the fervor settled into a gentle hum of excitement, a shadow of uncertainty cast its veil in Judith's heart once more. But how and when do we begin? She asked softly. In that moment of vulnerability, the voice returned, echoing through her spirit. Trust in the timing, Judith. Each step will illuminate the next. With faith, even mountains can be moved. She recognized the truth in those words, an invitation to surrender to divine timing. Judith looked around at her friends, filled with purpose. There was a shared understanding that they were not alone in this journey. As they prepared to close in prayer, a soft warmth enveloped Judith, an embrace of divine peace. She was no longer just a participant but a vibrant thread in the fabric of their community. What awaited them beyond the Garden of Dreams and along the river's edge? What would it look like to embrace unity in purpose? Judith felt an exhilarating thrill rush through her. It was time to step forward, ready to discover God's greater plan. Feeling the pull of the unknown once more, she took a deep breath, holding her heart open. What will we encounter in this journey of faith? She thought, eager to embrace the next chapter of their shared adventure. The chapel was alive with fervent prayers and vibrant hope, each heart echoing the beat of Judith's own. She felt a surge of determination as she looked around at the familiar faces which had transformed into pillars of strength. This was not just about her anymore. It was a movement, a connection binding them all in faith and love. Let us plant that garden, Judith declared, her voice clear and full of purpose, reverberating off the ancient stone walls. Eyes lit up with excitement. Whispers of agreement rippled through the congregation as momentum surged. Together, we can cultivate more than just flowers, we can sow the seeds of faith, Sarah exclaimed, her spirit infectious. The youth chimed in, joy visible in their shining faces. Let us gather supplies this weekend. We'll make it a big event. And so, plans began to take shape, the air exploding with ideas and laughter. An overwhelming feeling of unity enveloped Judith, washing away the remnants of her doubts. Each plan felt like a divine whisper guiding her, urging her forward as she embraced her newfound identity within the community. Yet amidst the fervor, Judith felt a weight resting on her heart. Her sister Daniel still needed healing. Would they allow their focus to drift from him? We can still pray for Daniel as we plant, she offered gently, ensuring they wouldn't lose sight of the promise that brought them together. Yes. Old Mr. Barnaby stood with a nod. Prayer is supercharged in action. We will weave healing into everything we do. With that declaration, Judith felt the conviction echoing through her. Their journey of growth wouldn't just be about a garden. It would be a tapestry of intertwining prayers and action. They would nurture one another, propelling their spirits upward like vines climbing to the sun. Days turned into weeks, and the garden flourished just as Judith's faith did. Children's laughter echoed as they planted seeds, while adults shared stories, hands stained with earth, yet shining with love. Each seed they planted represented a prayer for Daniel, each bloom a miracle waiting to unfold. Then one bright morning, as the sun painted the sky golden, word rushed through the village. Daniel had awakened. Tears sparkled in Judith's eyes as she rushed to the chapel. There he was, frail yet filled with light, surrounded by the same faces who had once lifted his mother in prayer. The air felt electric with gratitude and life, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. Do you see, my beloved community? Judith breathed, joy bursting from her. Miracles are not just the healing of bodies. They are the knitting together of souls bound in love and faith. The congregation erupted in joyous chants, tears streaming down their faces as they celebrated together. Judith felt an overwhelming wave of peace, one that confirmed her purpose, her belonging. With church bells ringing and hearts ignited, Judith felt the weight of her journey transform into a steadfast anchor. This was her truth. The path of faith would always lead to profound revelations if only they dared to step forward in love. Hand in hand as laughter and songs mingled in the chapel, Judith glimpsed her sister once more in the shadows. Judith's heart raced, embracing the familiarity of love that had always been. And that morning she understood this journey was the manifestation of divine connection, intricately woven through each heart. Judith, a voice called from the crowd. It was Sarah, eyes sparkling. This is just the beginning. Judith smiled, her spirit alight with joy, realizing they had awakened something far greater than just the garden. They had kindled a fire of faith that would burn brightly for all who sought the light, and so, as the sun set upon Larkberry, illuminating the chapel in its final golden glow, they all united in one final prayer, offering thanks for miracles seen, unseen, and those yet to come forever changed by their faith. The warmth wrapped around them, and Judith whispered, "Lord, lead us. We are ready." As the candlelight flickered, a divine presence settled amongst them, sealing the promises made, the love shared, and the journeys yet to unfold. It was a sacred testament to a community united in faith, one that would dare to grow, to shine, and to embrace the miracle of every new dawn. Now that you've witnessed this incredible journey toward faith, it's time to take action. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive faith stories. Don't miss a single moment of divine revelation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is essential for sharing these miraculous tales. Comment below your reactions and testimonies about this ending. What did this story stir in your heart? And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. Don't wait even one more second to spread hope and love. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this channel through these actions. Your commitment makes a divine difference.